The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Happy opening day. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Wednesday, March 29, 2023, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Tuesday, March 28, 2023 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. Secretary will read.
Senator Addabbo moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance Assembly Bill number 3777, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2123, third reading count of 543.
So ordered. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state offices. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good morning, Mr. President, and let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Can we begin by taking up previously adopted Resolution 609 by Senator Gallivan? Read its title and recognize Senator Gallivan.
Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 609 by Senator Gallivan, commending the Erie County Federation of Snowmobile Clubs for their heroic efforts to rescue stranded people during the Western New York blizzard of 2022.
Senator Gallivan on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of us know, Western New York is no stranger to snowstorms, but even by the local standards, the blizzard that struck the region, the Western New York region, Christmas weekend 2022, was truly devastating. Over a 2-day period, the historic storm dumped nearly 52 inches of snow in the Buffalo area and winds in excess of 70 miles an hour, causing whiteout conditions and dangerous wind chills. The heavy snow left many people stranded, some in their cars, others in their homes, with emergency personnel unable to reach them. Police, fire, ambulance crews, and even snowplow drivers simply could not respond by vehicle. Tragically, more than 40 of our fellow Western New Yorkers died. The loss of life would have been much worse if not for the heroic efforts of the members of the Erie County Federation of Snowmobile Clubs. During the storm and in the days that followed, they used their sleds and other specialized equipment to rescue people and to get essential workers to their jobs, including first responders, doctors, and nurses. Club members used heavy-duty equipment designed to shape snowmobile trails to not only rescue their stranded neighbors, but to transport police officers to their police stations and firefighters and ambulance workers to their fire halls. They also worked with local highway departments to pick up drivers and to get them to their plow trucks as the community began to dig out. We know, of course, unfortunately, there'll be more snow and more blizzards, and it's very comforting to know that there are people in our community who are willing to help their fellow citizens in a time of need. Western New York will long remember the Christmas blizzard of 2022 and, more importantly, the life-saving actions of these individuals. I thank all of my colleagues for joining me in commending the members of the Erie County Federation and Snowmobile Clubs for their truly historic deeds. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Gallivan. Senator Ryan on the resolution.
Thank you, and I thank Senator Gallivan for bringing this resolution. Every generation or so, Buffalo has a snowstorm that brings us to a standstill. And down south, when there's hurricanes, you hear about the Cajun Coast Guard. Well, our version of the Cajun Coast Guard is snowmobiles and snowmobile associations. And we hope moving forward that we're able to more formalize their role in emergency response. But we do thank them for their role in the recent storm. And like all people who help in emergencies, we don't have to call on them again for another generation. But we know if we do call on them that they will be ready. And once again, thank you to Senator Gallivan for bringing this important resolution.
Thank you, Senator Ryan. Senator Kennedy on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank our colleague, Senator Gallivan, for introducing this resolution, and I join him in honoring these outstanding individuals who truly stepped up for our community in Buffalo and throughout Western New York during a time of crisis. As was already mentioned, the blizzard in Western New York that we experienced a few months ago brought treacherous conditions, zero visibility, high winds, 70-mile-per-hour winds, 5 feet of snow, below zero temperatures to the tune of minus 20 degrees. It was unlike anything I had ever seen in my entire life. The only storm that it was equated to was the blizzard of '77 that happened when I was 1 year old. And due to the rapid deterioration of conditions, countless people became trapped out in the elements, in their cars, in their homes, at work. And emergency personnel certainly had their hands full during this very difficult time of this storm. But we had citizen heroes that stepped up and became a part of the solution and that lent a helping hand, a brave and courageous helping hand. The Erie County Federation of Snowmobiles Club decided to brave these dangerous elements and risk their own safety, their own lives, in many cases, in order to help rescue stranded drivers and transport essential workers. They gave up their Christmas holiday with their own families and instead truly embodied the city of good neighbors during this very difficult time, helping New York State troopers, helping EMS workers, helping firefighters, helping law enforcement officials from throughout Western New York, helping nurses and doctors from Clarence to Sardinia, and everywhere in between. When all was said and done, our community lost 47 souls. And just to put that into perspective, recently, the horrific tornadoes down south, the entire state of Mississippi lost 26. In just 2 days, Buffalo in Western New York lost 47 people. And so in this moment, we remember those individuals that we lost, but we honor those individuals that stepped up to make sure that hundreds of others also didn't perish. And so we're so grateful for those individuals from the Erie County Federation of Snowmobile Clubs that lent a helping hand. Again, I want to thank Senator Galvin for bringing this resolution to the floor. And with that, Mr. President, I vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. The resolution was previously adopted on March 28th. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, at the request of Senator Gallivan, that resolution is open for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, today there are a number of distinguished women in the Capitol being honored by the Women's Legislative Caucus, and some of them have joined us in the gallery today. So we're going to allow some of our members to introduce the honorees who are from their districts. We're going to start with Senator Scarcella-Spanton, then Senator Hinchey, and then Senator Webb, please.
Thank you, Senator Gianaris. Senator Scarcella-Spanton, for the purposes of an introduction.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. And today we have with us Heather Williams up in Albany with her family, who is our honoree for our Legislative Women's Caucus celebration this Women's History Month. Heather was born in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. At a very young age, she migrated with her family to Staten Island, to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and in 1978 to Staten Island, which became her permanent home. After raising her 2 sons and losing her eldest son, Taurine, who was a 9/11 first responder, they are currently helping to raise their grandsons, Denari K. Wells and Dioran K. Wells, who are aspiring young models and actors and future musicians, who I believe we have anybody here too? Hi, there we go. She spends her spare time volunteering, which started with Merrill Lynch, now Bank of America Merrill, a company which encourages employees to give back by volunteering, and presently with several different organizations, but mainly with Fam First Foundation, Inc., her family organization, as an event coordinator. At her organization, her mission is to create a place where families can seek support, be informed, and be educated on matters that affect the structure of today's families. They aim to do this by creating events that bridge the gap between different ethnicities and cultures while supporting families. We are so proud to be able to honor you here today. Thank you for all you do for our community, for Staten Island, and now for New York State. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Scarthouse-Spanton. Senator Hinchy for the purposes of an introduction.
During Women's History Month, members of our Legislative Women's Caucus have the opportunity to honor one outstanding woman from our district who demonstrates exemplary character and leadership in their community. This year, it is my privilege to recognize U.S. Air Force veteran Michelle Romolandeo for her service to our country and for her tremendous advocacy on behalf of our veteran community in Greene County. Michelle served as a munitions system specialist in support of Operation Desert Storm, Operation Desert Shield, Operation Southern Watch, and the NATO Operation Deny Flight over Bosnia. After 4 years of honorable military service, Michelle came back to her community and devoted her life to giving back to her fellow veterans, service members, and their families. Michelle is here today as a woman who has already made history because in the 41st District, Michelle Deo is the only woman to lead a county-wide veterans agency, the Greene County Veterans Service Agency. It's a position she has held for over a decade, and I can promise you that our communities are better served because of her leadership. In that time, Michelle has assisted thousands of veterans and their families in obtaining VA benefits. Michelle also oversees the Greene County Veterans Transportation Program to ensure that veterans can safely travel around the county, including to their medical appointments. That program expanded from a single van to full-time daily transportation, and we thank Michelle for her involvement in that significant expansion. In our rural communities, it often seems like access to these critical services is dwindling by the day. And because of that, we need fighters like Michelle who understand the gaps, see the needs, and take the actions to solve them. Michelle was instrumental in our collective fight to bring the Joseph P. Dwyer Veteran Peer Support Program to Greene County for the first time. As a champion for mental health, Michelle has organized Greene County's first Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day called the Greene County Connect to Protect Greene Guardians. In its first year, the event raised over $7,000 to support local programs for veterans and first responders. My office has been especially proud to partner with the Greene County VSA on veterans resource fairs in Athens, Cairo, and Greenville. Together, we've been able to facilitate helpful connections between our veterans and the organizations and programs that they might not know exist but can offer meaningful support. One of the most honorable aspects about Michelle is that she feels a dual calling to champion our first responders, just as she has championed our veterans. If you can believe it, she also serves as an EMT in the town of Coxsackie Ambulance and as a volunteer firefighter with the Cairo Hose Company, from which she received the Firefighter of the Year award in 2022. And she's received much of this as a single mom of 4 boys, Killian, Liam, Kiernan, and Kieran, all of whom have followed in their mom's footsteps and are either serving or have served in our military. Michelle has turned a commitment to service into a career of changing lives and strengthening our communities. This recognition is a perfect opportunity to ensure that Michelle's legacy of service is rightfully acknowledged and celebrated. Thank you, Michelle, and happy Women's History Month.
Thank you, Senator Hinchy. Senator Webb for the purposes of an introduction.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. President. I rise enthusiastically to recognize my honoree for our Legislative Women's Caucus History Month, Mary Clark, who literally just got here through a very interesting snowstorm to be here. And so just to share a little bit about Mary Clark, she was born and raised in the Southern Tier. She is a social worker. She is also the former director, Southern Tier Regional Director for Citizen Action of New York. She is a tireless and unapologetic advocate for social, racial, environmental justice, healthcare, education, and she has been and still is integral in my life, personally and professionally. She is the type of person that I wanted to lift up because she's an example of one of those thankless sheroes that will be behind the scenes pushing for everyone to succeed and never looks for gratitude. And that is the type of leader that she is. every single day. She is retired now, but still working. But she is one of the main reasons why I'm here. And so it is my deep honor, and I'm very excited to recognize her. She is also the type of person that would literally give you the shirt off of her back to make sure that you're okay. And so it is for all these reasons and many more, I'm very happy to recognize her and the great work that she still does to this day, not just for the residents in the Southern Tier, but for all of us across this great state of New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Webb. To our guests, incredible honorees, I welcome and congratulate you on behalf of the New York State Senate. We extend to you all of the privileges and courtesies of this House. Please rise and be recognized. Generis.
Mr. President, we are going to call an immediate meeting of the Finance Committee as we continue to do our work. So please call a meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332.
Certainly. There would be an immediate meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332. The Secretary will read.
And can we now take up the calendar?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 236, Senate Print 2711 by Senator Parker, an act to amend the Public Service Law.
Lay the bill aside for the day.
Lay it aside for the day. Calendar number 313, Senate Print 2994A by Senator Harkam, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White. Griffo down.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 313, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Griffo, Hellman, Lanza, Matera, Murray, Ort, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, Weber, and White. Ayes 49, nays 12.
The bill is passed.
Thanks. Calendar number 339, Senate Print 3609B by Senator Webb, an act to amend the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act take effect on the same date in the same manner as the chapter of Chapter 137 of the law of 2022.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 339, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, Hellman, Lanza, Martinez, Matera, Murray, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, Weber, and White. Ayes 45, nays 16.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 346, Senate Print 2330 by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act take effect on the 180th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Sepulveda to never mind. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 346, those senators voting in the negative are Senators Hellman, Palumbo, Rhodes, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, Weber, and White. Ayes 53, nays 8.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 348, Senate Print 2731 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 395, Senate Print 1938 by Senator Skoufis, an act to amend the real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 61.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 478, Senate Print 3592 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 478, voted in the negative, Senator Brisport, ayes 60, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 497, Senate Print 3004 by Senator Clear, an act to amend the elder law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Clear to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fastest growing segment of our population here in New York are our seniors, and they hold a greater share of our workforce than ever before. Recognizing this principle, this bill creates the Office of Older Adult Workforce Development within the State Office for the Aging, which will provide an important resource for our state's growing senior workforce population and furthers the shared goal of becoming a truly age-friendly state. This bill will provide essential data through a centralized website with the aim of addressing the needs of seniors in the workforce, including job placement and support and career building and development. This bill also empowers older New Yorkers by providing information and remedies for seniors facing ageism discrimination on the workforce. Enactment of this legislation will aid millions of seniors looking to continue their contributions to the workforce or embark in a second career later in their lives. I want to thank all my senior constituents that helped lobby for this bill. I proudly vote aye and ask all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Senator Clear to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 500, Senate Print 3320 by Senator Sepulveda, an act to amend the real property law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Sepulveda to explain his vote.
Thank you for allowing me to explain my vote. The genesis of this bill is discussions with clients in my first life, which is an attorney, that complain quite often about the treatment they receive from condominium boards. When they get hit with fees, bidding process that they have no awareness of, when they want things posted or information, many times the condominium boards resist and they're left without information. So this process for me began a few years ago. I'm glad that it's here today for a vote. I encourage all my colleagues, especially those that live in condominiums, to vote in the affirmative, because transparency is critically important to condominium owners, and that is the premise of this bill. It will limit some of the contracts that condominium boards can enter into without informing the condo owners, and will also require a much higher level of transparency. So I proudly vote in the affirmative.
Senator Sepulveda to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 521, Senate Print 2776 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 521, voted in the negative, Senator Rhodes, ayes 60, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 523, Senate Print 2995 by Senator Harkin, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act will take effect on the 120th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 543, Assembly number 3777 by Assemblymember Parlin, an act to amend the state finance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect on the same date and in the same manner as Section 9 of Chapter 683 of the laws of 2022.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 556, Senate Print 4711 by Senator Martinez, an act to amend the Volunteer Firefighters Benefit Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 572, Senate Print 6061 by Senator Hoylman Siegel, an act to amend the judiciary law.
Lay the bill aside. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Can we move to the reading of the controversial calendar, please?
Secretary, ring the bell. Secretary, read.
Calendar number 572, Senate Print 6061 by Senator Hoylman Siegel, an act to amend the judiciary law.
Senator Palumbo, why do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the sponsor yield for a few questions, please?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon. I just have a few questions with regard to this bill. And initially, this kind of came down the pike relatively quickly in the past week or so. So can you tell me how this bill came about and why we have to vote on it today?
Through you, Mr. President. This bill came to the Senate via the governor. It's a gubernatorial program bill.
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you, Chairman. And did the governor explain why it was necessary that we do this? I understand it came out as a program bill, but it seems like this may constrain the governor to some extent or provide her with kind of a shorter list, and we'll get into that in a little bit, in the event that she were to exercise this authority.
Well, we have the bill before us, and I can only infer that the governor sees this as expanding her options in terms of appointing a new chief judge. Just to say that this bill would only take effect when an associate judge is confirmed to be a chief judge, which is a very rare occurrence. It doesn't compel her to choose an associate judge from the same list as a chief judge, but it does give the governor that option. The last time an associate judge became chief judge was before Senator Gonzalez was even born, 1993.
Yield for another question, please.
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you. And just so it's clear for our body, because I think there's some nuance for the non-lawyers, or even for many of the lawyers, there are associate judges, of course, and then there's a chief judge. Could you explain to us what the chief judge does with respect to their duties relative to just an associate judge on the Court of Appeals?
Chief judge is not just the head of the Court of Appeals and essentially will control the court in determining who writes opinions, but also is the CEO of the entire New York court system. So the position is incredibly important, and to have a vacancy at either the chief judge level or the associate judge level is cause for concern, since Chief Judge DiFiore, the former chief judge, resigned, which was 7 months ago. The court has decided over 50 cases and many more, presumably, motions and applications. It's really impossible to know how many cases have been delayed or were passed over because the court is waiting for that seventh judge. And these issues obviously have significant impacts on litigants and courts statewide who need to know how to interpret the laws that we write in this chamber.
Would the sponsor yield for another question, please?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes, that wasn't me saying no.
The sponsor yields.
I would have said that was very impressive if it wasn't. It would have been outstanding.
First amen chorus.
Yes. Very Caesar-like, right? You can get a yes or no with it. So in that regard, I think we can agree that the chief judge is almost not a completely different position, but they have a tremendous amount of additional duties relative to associate judges. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you continue? It's amazing. Are they watching? They might be watching. Chairman, would you yield for another question?
Brought those folks here.
Why don't they do it when I'm speaking? Would you yield for another question, please, Chairman?
Will the sponsor yield? The sponsor yields.
Yes. Thank you. So in that regard, now, we have a list before us in our committee, the Judiciary Committee, that has 7 potential nominees, and the Constitution prescribes how that list actually is made. And could you also explain to us how someone gets on that list? Are they chosen out of the sky, or do judges, sitting judges, or lawyers, or people who are otherwise qualified, is there an application process when the list is, or when there is a request for a list and there's a vacancy on the Court of Appeals?
Yes, there's an application process with a Commission on Judicial Nomination comprised of various appointees from the governor, the Court of Appeals, our own chamber, your leader, the Assembly, and the Assembly Minority Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. Would you yield for another question, please?
Will the sponsor yield for another
Yes.
question? The sponsor
Yes.
yields.
So in that regard, this commission creates the list, and as prescribed in the Constitution, the governor has to choose from that list in order to obviously nominate someone, and then they go through the process through the Judiciary Committee and then to the floor. Is that the process? Would you yield for another question, please?
Will the sponsor
Yes.
yield? The sponsor yields.
So in that regard, if this were to become law, the governor would then, and just so we can explain the mechanics to our colleagues, there are currently 3 associate judges on this list of 7, right? Judge Canatero, Judge Troutman, Judge Wilson. If the governor were to select one of those 3 for chief judge, and they were ultimately confirmed, that would then create still 6. There'd still be a vacancy now as far as the associate judges are concerned. Is that correct? Would you yield for another question, please?
Just,
Yes.
just as a reminder, I just want to make sure that when you're asking the sponsor yields, if we cannot have conversations with members, please
Really,
request
Mr.
that.
President, of course. All
you.
my questions are through you. It's just habit to look at Chairman Horman, but absolutely through you, Mr. President.
Just as we prepare for budget debate, I just want to make sure we're in the right state of mind, Senator Palumbo. Senator Horman, do you yield? Horman, do you yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you, Chairman. So with that in mind, in the hypothetical situation, Mr. President, that the governor does choose one of the sitting judges, in fact, for an associate judge position, the other 2 would be precluded from being considered, of course, because they're already sitting judges on the Court of Appeals. Is that fair to say?
By definition, yes.
Okay, certainly. And through you, Mr. President, would the sponsor yield for
Will the
another
sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you. So, practically speaking, the governor would have 7 nominees to choose from now. And in the event one of the 3 sitting judges are choose, actually the list is only 4, because there are 4 non-judges on the list. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it's true. I would, through you, Mr. President, I would point out that the governor has the option to request a new list. This does not preclude her requesting a new list from the Commission on Judicial Nomination. This gives her an option.
Thank you, Chairman. Will the sponsor yield for another question?
Will the
please?
sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So then what we're saying is the governor then would not only, she wouldn't have a list of 7, she could potentially have a list of either 4 or technically 11 if she doesn't choose to select one of the remaining 4, because we then would get a new list at the governor's discretion of 7 more. Is that accurate?
Through you, Mr. President, as we've seen with the Commission's selections for the list, sometimes those individuals are on 2 different lists. So it's possible that the current individuals who are on this current list might be on the new list if the governor so chooses, if and when we pass this legislation. So I'm not sure it would be 11, but it could be.
Okay, through you, Mr. President, will the sponsor yield for another question?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So, as far as the either the current list or a new list or wherever it works out, that is an exclusive list, correct? Because the commission creates the list, and the governor is required to only select from individuals on that list. So it precludes anyone else from being considered for the chief judge or any subsequent associate judge position. Is that correct? The governor is only allowed, I know it's almost rhetorical, because I think we know the answer. The governor may only pick from the select list that the commission produces, correct?
Through you, Mr. President, depending on whether the governor chooses the associate from the current list, if and when we pass this legislation and it's signed into law, or she asks for a new list.
Through you, Mr. President, would the sponsor yield for another question?
Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
So, Senator, I guess what it boils down to, and the rub that I'd like to maybe have you reconcile, if you could, is when this vacancy was, when there was a request for an application process, there are certain judges who may not have significant administrative duties, but are absolutely qualified to be associate judges. So I have a concern that this was a chief judge list. This was not an associate judge list. So can you reconcile for me whether or not this list was for either associate judge, the application process was for either chief judge or associate judge? Because we do have some presiding judges of the appellate divisions who have applied. We actually had one previously from the second department, Justice LaSalle. We know how that went. But they're judges who already have significant administrative duties, but they may not be a perfect fit for chief judge, but they would be a better fit for associate judge. Can you reconcile that concern, please?
Through you, Mr. President. First, I would argue that if an individual is on this list for chief judge, then they certainly, presumably, are qualified to be an associate judge on the Court of Appeals. But secondly, if in the governor's discretion she agrees with you, she can always ask for a new list to fill that associate judge position. Again, we're just creating a pathway for more options.
Thank you, Chairman. Through you, Mr. President, will the sponsor yield for another question?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
Thank you. And Chairman, since this is an exclusive list, and we did have quite an interesting time with the previous nominee, with Justice LaSalle, who would have been an historic appointment to the Court of Appeals. Are there any Latino nominees on the current list?
Through you, Mr. President, not that I am aware, no.
Chairman, would you yield for one more question, please?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
The sponsor yields.
In that same regard, are there any nominees of Asian descent on this current list?
Through you, Mr. President, not that I am aware.
Thank you, Chairman. On the bill, please, Mr. President.
Senator Palumbo on the bill.
So, Mr. President, I do appreciate the fact that this might possibly streamline the process because we have been operating with 6 judges, but we've survived. And this is something that is now trying to statutorily prescribe some very abrupt changes during a very difficult budget negotiation process, but abrupt changes to our Constitution. We just saw this movie, and it didn't end well. That we're manipulating the process for what I think are reasons that are untoward. That this is some sort of a deal that has to do with possibly picking 2 judges from one list. But let's slow down and actually try to follow the Constitution one more time. It proscribes specifically, I'll read the highlights. Need my glasses for this, I'm getting old. The governor shall appoint from among those recommended by the Judicial Nominating Commission a person to fill the office of chief judge or associate judge whenever a vacancy occurs in the Court of Appeals. We don't have 2 vacancies right now. We have 1. And if by chance we get another one, that occurs upon confirmation of a sitting associate judge to now become the chief judge. This list was created long before that confirmation process because that's going to happen sometime in the future. So, I understand this may have been a program bill. I don't like it. I don't like the way it smells, and quite frankly, it is 100% unconstitutional. This is an exclusive list. The governor's prescribed to pick from 7, and now she'll be reduced down to 4 in the event she picks a sitting judge, or can go with a whole additional 7. So now it's a pool of 11 instead of a pool of 7, as the Constitution dictates. So, Mr. President, I am very concerned about the reasons for this bill coming to the floor at this point, but I will be voting no, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Palumbo. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. Senator Gianaris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can we return that to the non-controversial calendar, please?
Upon consent, we will return this bill to the non-controversial calendar. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Rhodes to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank Senator Palumbo for his questioning. And he makes an excellent point in that this bill, if it is adopted, is clearly unconstitutional, as the process by which this is supposed to take place is spelled out in the Constitution. We are now changing that process. But there is one additional point that Senator Palumbo raised that I wish to highlight, which is the fact that as an applicant, if you wish to be a member of the Court of Appeals, either as an associate or as chief judge, you may very well make the decision as a sitting justice that you do not wish to be the chief administrative judge of the courts, that you may not want to apply to be chief justice. If the same list is used for chief justice and associate justice, you have now shut out a potential pool of applicants who would be qualified to serve as an associate justice who, because the list was for Chief Justice, simply did not apply. And so you are limiting the choices that are available to the governor in doing so, limiting the potential pool of applicants to be an associate justice, and disqualifying and excluding candidates who would otherwise be qualified and would have applied. So I will be voting in the negative.
Senator Rhodes to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 572, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Griffo, Hellman, Lanza, Liu, Martinez, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, Tedisco, Walzik, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, ayes 23.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's non-controversial calendar.
Mr. President, there's a report of the Finance Committee at the desk. Can we take that up?
Secretary Reed.
Senator Kruger from the Committee on Finance reports the following bill. Senate Print 4002, Senate Budget Bill, an act making appropriations for the legal requirements of the State Debt Service.
To accept the report of the Finance Committee?
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Finance Committee signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The report of the Finance Committee is accepted. Senator Gianaris.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Move to adjourn until Friday, March 31 at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Friday, March 31st at 11 a.m. Let's go Mets.